Yeah. Town wazi. Town umetoka tu town ushikiwe huko. Sawa sawa. So nataka watu wafanye hivi. Utakuwa unatuambia your favorite domestic animal. Sawa sawa. Na yenye umesema usirudie mwenzako. Sawa sawa. So, domestic animal. Goat. Makofi ya goat. Sheep, mwanakondoo. Wapi makofi ya mwanakondoo? Ndio maana umevaa white. Cat. Cat. Wazi, mtu hawezi jua. Dog. Chicken. Wapi makofi ya kuku? Wewe ni mzuri. So, the other punishment is unatoa sauti ya mnyama umesema. Sawa sawa? Akitoa vizuri tunakubaliana na yeye anaenda kukaa. Sawa sawa? Nyinyi ndio wangwana. Nyinyi ndio mnaamua. Sawa sawa? For example, goat. Hii goat ni shai. Hii ni goat hapa ni ijakula. Goat gani hiyo? Ulisema? Dog. Hii ni chihuahua, ndio? Tunakubaliana hiyo ni sauti ya umbo. Haya umbo. Yako ulisema ni kuku. Unaenda wapi? Hii ni kuku gani? Sawa, wapi makofi ya kuku? Haya, nimekuja. Sheep. Anasema hii sheep ni ile ya nini? Ya kwa Kenyatta ile. Sasa ukae basi. Ulisema? Goat. Toa sauti ya goat, toa sauti ya goat alafu wewe. Hii goat inacheka, wewe tuenda ukae. Ni sawa, wapi makofi yao tafadhali, wapi makofi yao? So nataka, kwa sababu kuna watu wanaweza kuwa uko hapa ni fresher, ajui ni event gani. Nataka tu mtu confidently aseme ni event gani tuko nayo hapa, what are we expecting, ndio watu ambao wako hapa wako wa ushago waende kuelewa. Sasa, so wacha tusikie. Nataka uambie watu confidently ni nini inaendelea hapa. Wewe najua unajua.
Okay, good morning everyone. Yeah, so I'm Lily Shotieno, and today we are expecting to have a discussion with the CS for Sports and Youth Affairs, that is Honorable Babu Mwamba. We are expecting also Eddie Butita, the CEO for SPM Bars, among other guests. So what we want to discuss as young people, I know we have a lot of creativity in our heads, how we can convert that creativity into money, and how that money, how we are going to share that money with this government.
to the betterment of this great nation of Kenya. Lord, I thank you for the management of KCA University, and even as we make efforts to make an impact in this nation, Lord, I pray that you bless our every move. Father God, may you glorify your name in us. In everything that we do, may you direct our moves. We thank you and we bless you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you very much. You can have a seat. Our chief guest, the CS Ministry of Youth Affairs, the Arts and Sports, Honorable Ababu Namwamba, Vice Chancellor and CEO, KCA University, Professor Isaiah Wakindiki, the Vice Chair, University Council, Nancy Martinu, DVC, Research, Innovation and Outreach, Professor Vincent Onywera, our distinguished panelists, all protocols observed, good morning. My name is Masa Sisara and I'm going to be your MC for the day. I kindly want to welcome the DVC, Research, Innovation and Outreach, Professor Vincent Onywera, to kindly make his opening remarks and welcome the VC. Kindly, please the podium. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Our chief guest, CS Honorable Ababu Namwamba, our Vice Chair of the KCA University Council, Nancy Martinu, the Vice Chancellor and CEO, KCA University, Professor Isaiah Wakindiki, our distinguished panelists, our guests, the University Senate, the University community, our wonderful and exquisite students, and our international members of the faculty. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. Hamjambo. I would like to join the university leadership and management and the Senate in welcoming most warmly to KCA University Ababu Namwamba and all our panelists and the distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On the first lane at a very fast pace. With our leadership, the university normally has a series of academically challenging and intellectually stimulating series of activities, ranging from research innovations, from conferences, to public lectures, to panel discussions such as what we are witnessing today. Within our schools, every school has a signature event that they run with. The School of Business has their signature event, which is the School of Business Conference, International Conference. Our School of Technology has its innovation exhibition, and our School of Education, Arts and Social Sciences is running with this event, which is Creative Economy as an exciting frontier for national development. We are very, very excited and happy to be hosting UCS and also the panelists to this world-class and international panel discussion. As I finish our CS, allow me just to pick one or two other things about our university. We are a world-class university, we are an international university of choice, locally and beyond, because you represent the youth, the arts, and sports. KCA University is the #1 sports university in the region, having won the game of volleyball recently in the university sports championships that happened or took place in Makerere. We are #1 The other thing I would like to say is that while other universities are preparing, are still thinking, are still consulting about the implementation of CBC, KCA University is already implementing CBC through the learning by doing practice. Most of the events that you see in the university, when you see students, when you see human beings taking photographs, and cameras, they are creating, those are our students. They are doing things, learning by doing. Just last night we got news that KCA University, this premier university, has been awarded a bronze medal for health promotion. It is the only university in Africa who have been awarded a bronze in the health promotion sector. But why has that happened? Because we are a health university. There is no sickness at KCA University. So we are very, very happy. And as I finish to invite our VC and CEO, Waziri, I would like also to let you know that our members of faculty, they are here, some of them are in this hall, they are international experts in various aspects. With the right framework, they are ready and willing, with the approval of the CEO, to support the ministry in sustainable talent identification and development in the area of performing arts, in the area of youth development, and I will tell you, even in the area of sustainable sports talent identification and development, we have colleagues here who are experts. They have done those elsewhere in other countries. They are ready and willing to work with the ministry, with your ministry, in doing and contributing to the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the development vision of this country. To be honest with those many remarks, allow me to stop here and now invite our captain, our Vice Chancellor and CEO. Professor Isaiah Wakidiki is a professor of soil science, a professor extraordinary of soil physics. We are a very humble leader, and when we get these kind of opportunities, we want to introduce him. He has mentored many people, he has published widely, he has won many research grants. Please put your hands together for our Vice Chancellor.
Thank you so much, Professor Rivera. I was because Professor Rivera can decide my CV. It should take 2 hours. And we have only 1 hour, so that's such a business. Mheshimiwa Honorable CS Ababu Namamba, who is our Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs, the Arts and Sports in the Republic of Kenya. We have our Vice Chair of the University Council, Madam Nancy Mastimo with us. Ms. Wakilu Njoguna, who is the CEO of Heber Fund, Tim Owase, the CEO of Kenya Film Commission, and Mr. Eddie Mutita, who is the CEO of Stage Presence Media, who will be our panelists later this morning. Our DVC, Professor Mera, the members of staff of this distinguished university, our students, and the general public who are in this hall and who are connected with us online. I want to say good morning. It is with a humble and utmost gratitude that I welcome you all to today's panel discussion, which is going under the topic Creative Economy as an Exciting Frontier for National Development. Our guests, led by our CS, thank you for preserving KCA University in your very busy schedules. We have only 24 hours in a day, and to spare an hour or two of your time here, it is a great honor, and we thank you for that gesture you have shown to us. Our efforts as a university has been to promote the creative economy as an exciting frontier for national development through our offerings, particularly in the development of performing arts, film and media studies, where we have more than 500 students who are enrolled at various levels of study. Our offerings in this university include performing arts, film, journalism, and digital media, which also includes film technology, and we are very sensitive to the dynamics and changes that are happening in the market, and our efforts have been fruitful as a university, as a champion in the education and training of students in film and performing arts, being one of only 5 institutions in the Republic of Kenya that are implementing the Netflix scholarship that is assisting many young Kenyans to shine in this particular field. The major film productions in the country, and this is an international initiative towards ensuring our students gain hands-on experience in the creative sector. We strive to create works with our students that are recognized by the industry so as to induct them in the art or into the business of arts. Honorable CS, the Talanta Hela initiative, which you yourself has introduced earlier this year, is a great initiative which we appreciate, and we know it is geared towards empowering artists financially, and we are aware that for the first time, theater artists got monetary awards through your office. And for that, we thank you, because we are part of the beneficiaries. One of our lecturers, Dr. Zipi, who is with us this morning, is an established thespian in our own right, and won the best award for the best solo performance in the Kid Fest 2023. and the Women in Field Awards Best Director for the year 2022. Masese Sarah, who is also one of our staff, won the Best Supporting Actress in 2022. Our school musical production, Simba Mazenga, won several awards in this festival last year, where Mr. Gobia Benson he recently got appointed as Kidfest Director, and Bona CS, this is through the support of your office, to which we are very grateful. Honorable CS, we have the vision of creating a creative arts center in this university that will bring together industry practitioners in the university and also the scholars and our students in collaborative projects with the industry. We look forward to working with the government in supporting your initiative in Talanta Hela by offering short courses in business and financial skills to the creative industry. We want to see to it that KCA University be the benchmark for the creative arts education and in the region of Eastern Africa. I recognize again with humility and gratitude the expertise of the talent in this room and the roles you each play in the creative industry. Our very own Vice Chair of Council, Ms. Nancy Natimu, Ms. Wakiori Tuona, Tony Butita, and Timo Wase, you are highly appreciated for hitting the call to lead today's panel discussion. May I now take this opportunity to very humbly invite the Honorable Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba to give us its keynote address and open our panel discussion. I thank you.
Professor Isaac Kindiki, the Vice Chancellor and CEO of this great KCA University that I'm told is already performing incredibly, including in the sports. Right now, where you are now the best university south of the Sahara, not of the Limpopo. The Vice Chair of the University Council, Nancy, and the DVC, Professor Nyora, together with the whole leadership of this very special university, my fellow panelists, a very eminent team that you have put together to lead this conversation, and students of this university, good morning. I am really delighted to join you this morning for this very, very important conversation around the creative economy.
delighted
Asante. I'm delighted to be part of this conversation, and from the outset, I must say that that we are having this discussion, this conversation, this discourse in a university, for me, in itself, achievement, a truly significant achievement, that we can actually spare time in an institution for higher learning to talk about the creative economy. And I say that because this is one area that has not received the deserved attention, the deserved focus by policymakers, focused by those who plan and budget for national development. And
we can spare time to talk about this is in itself worth recognizing and appreciating. There is absolutely no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt
but the creative industries bear
There's absolutely
okay. You seem to have cracked the puzzle. I hope. All right. I want to therefore University. I want to appreciate KCA University. I want to appreciate the leadership of this university for seeing it fit to set aside time, opportunity for us to have this discourse on this subject. The statistics indicate that the creative economy
contributes. It should just talk.
Yes.
It should just talk and let us define.
Yes.
Statistics indicate that the creative economy contributes about 5.3% of the GDP of this country. And for me, that is the meaning of the product. That's statistic, 5.3%. That statistic in itself is doubtful and poses the first challenge for this sector. Being able to conduct research, being able to have reliable verifiable, dependable, empirical data that can be deployed for planning and therefore to anchor the growth of this sector. And therefore, our first challenge as we move to formalize and consolidate and mainstream this sector in the economic mainstream of this country, we have to fix that challenge, the challenge of data, reliable data. We should be able to say confidently the exact percentage of the economy, the exact percentage of the GDP that you can ascribe to the creative economy. When you go to economies that have succeeded to place the creative industries at the heart or at the core of the economic discourse, there is no doubt when it comes to data with regard to this sector. And let me tell you as students that the second challenge with this sector is the challenge of attitude, the challenge of culture. We live in a country, in a society that has been programmed to look at the whole creative space as secondary, is a secondary stream of engagement and not primary. And so previously, if you walked to your dad, your mom, and you told them you want to get into music or the performing arts or to theater as a career, they would be completely befuddled, will actually be disappointed. And they will tell you they are disappointed. At one time, getting into that kind of engagement was even tagged as some kind of kora. It is a notion that we need to get rid of by profiling and positioning the creative space as a mainstream space that can employ and that can have you engaged gainfully and with respect. Some of the biggest hitters, economically, socially, in big economies like the US, the UK, Germany, on these continents of Africa, Nigeria, some of the biggest names are from this industry, are from this sector. The biggest driver of the economy in terms of income, revenue streams, social standing. You hear the kind of income streams that flow into the pockets of footballers in the UK. If you are told the kind of money footballers in the English Premier League earn, not in a month, but in a week, it could be your income for 10 years. The kind of revenues that flow into the pockets of some of the big film stars, musicians, thespians is a big economy. And it's a big economy because those economies have mainstreamed the creative industries as a core driver of the economic development. We must get there. During the COVID lockdown, something interesting happened in the UK. COVID locked down everything, including for the first time since the establishment of the creation of the aviation industry, not even during the world wars were the skies closed, not even at the height of the world wars, both the First World War and the Second World War. COVID locked down everything, including the skies. Now, in the UK, they stopped all sporting activities.
because of the requirements for social distancing and all that. But in the midst of all that, something happened. The House of Commons, the legislative house in the UK, sat in a special session and voted to allow football back behind closed doors. They allowed football back in empty stadium. You may not understand exactly why Parliament, one of the biggest economies of Africa, got involved in passing a special legislative measure to allow football to be played in empty stadia. If you didn't know, I tell you today, it's because of what the English Premier League means to the UK economy. The UK economy was finding it a big struggle to survive minus the revenue streams from the English Premier League. The TV money, the corporate rights, the workers' rights, and that whole ecosystem that revolves around football, ready to come back. It is that important. Football is that important in an economy like the UK economy. A giant economy whose GDP is 10 times, many times over the GDP of this country. That tells you the extent to which sports and the creative industry have become an integral part of such economies. Spaces like the Oscar Awards, the Grammys in the UK entertainment ecosystem are a key cog of the economic well-being of the US as a country. You touch those brands and you touch the nerve center of the US economic DNA. Kenya has no choice but to join that league. Join the league where sports and the creatives are more than just entertainment. Sports and the creative industry, I mean, this is great entertainment. We are absolutely immensely entertained by theater. Your lecturer here, Zuri, is a great presence at the Kenya National Theatre, and I love to watch her. But I have told her and other experts that her performance at the Kenya National Theatre must go beyond entertaining us. It must be an occupation, an engagement that puts Pesa Mfukoni into her pocket. And that, good people, is the long and short of the initiative we are unveiling tomorrow called Talanta Hela. Talanta Hela are two Swahili words. There's no magic about it. Two Swahili words. Talanta meaning talent. Hela meaning what? Money. So Talanta Hela is very simple. Talanta Hela is talent turned into money. And that is what Kenya must do. We have no choice, we have to do it. We have elevated the space of talent across the entire spectrum of sports. Whether you're doing volleyball, or football, or rugby, or golf, or whatever it is that you're doing in the sporting arena, we must turn that into sustainable livelihood for you. Whether you are in music, in film, in fashion, in pageantry, in fine art, in the literary arts, or in the new explosion called content creation, whether you're in that space, we must turn your engagement in that space into money, into a sustainable livelihood, into a sustainable career. And so I tell parents, I tell schools, I tell teachers, the same way you encourage students to work hard in mathematics, in history, in English, encourage them to develop the talents with the same verve, energy, and passion and focus. Encourage them to be as good in progressing their talents as they are in progressing their academic and intellectual development. And that there is no contradiction for you to be a good historian or a good physicist and a good musician. There's no contradiction. Isn't Zippy a great lecturer here? Isn't Tita fantastic? Isn't she a fantastic lecturer? Stand up, Zippy, with applause. Isn't she a fantastic lecturer? Hasn't she eaten enough book? Doesn't she sound like she's eaten good book? I mean, she's eaten book good. Is it eating good book or eating book good? But that has not taken away the fact that she has spent time in school to become a good teacher. Has not taken away her passion, her ability on the stage. And if you've not watched this girl perform, you don't know what it is. Absolutely. Next time she's on stage at the National Theatre, Professor, next time she's performing, all the students in this class should come to the theatre at my cost to watch her. Watch your teacher and then get the message that the people who perform, whether it is in performing arts, music, theater, fashion, they're not done that. No. It's not like they have nothing else to do. No, that's right. You see this young dude here? You see this guy here? He's a big thing, isn't it? Sort of with a team. This guy is a big team. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. He creates content. And in creating content, he earns better than the campus secretary. But the point I'm making is that his content creation pays. It pays, doesn't it? It pays his bills, makes him look good, enables him to take care of himself. And so my message for you, the long and short from me to you, is that the creative economy is actually an economy. The creative economy is an economy. It's not an oxymoron. Don't start scratching your head like creative economy, is it a mismatch of terminologies? No, it's not a mismatch of terminologies. It's a perfect fit. The creative economy is an economy. And it's about time that this country unleash the full potential of that economy. That is what we want. That's what we want to do through the Talanta Hela program. We are creating a pipeline where we can develop talent from the grassroots to national talent development institutions like the Kenya Film School, the Kenya Academy of Sports, the Kenya National Theatre. We are providing a pipeline to fund you from the very grassroots all the way to those institutions. Talanta Hela will monetize you. It will commercialize your talent. It will market you. In doing this, you're building partnerships. You signed an agreement with Tress, the music people, who are going to be sponsoring every year 30 young unknown musicians for you to become the next big thing in music. And through a program we are launching soon called Who's Next? Who's Next? Who's Kenya's next big team? Tress will provide you a platform to be trained through the Tress Academy, to record your first album for free, and to offer you free marketing on the Tress platforms. Today we are signing an agreement with the Grammys, the American Grammys, to provide the same platform, which is also going to locate here in Nairobi. The Grammys Center for the whole of Africa is going to pivot in this great city of Nairobi. We are also in discussion with some big-time Hollywood movie makers, filmmakers in Hollywood. And we are telling them, Kenya must become the destination of choice for filmmaking. And we want Kenyan filmmakers, Kenyan actors and actresses to have the opportunity to hone their skills and then to take those skills to the highest global audience around the world. And so, it's a good time to be in Kenya. It's a good time to be young. And this leadership of President William Samoei Ruto implementing the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. That's what we are about. I appreciate this opportunity to have a word with you. I look forward to forging a very solid partnership between government and this ministry and this university. I'm very impressed by the plan to establish a creative arts center at this university. Professor Akiniki, I can tell you from the outset, even as you set in place the plans for that center, you already have a partner in the Ministry of Foreign And so Professor Nwera, all the building blocks are in place, and we are ready to roll. Invite me here so that we can unveil it together. We build the right kind of partnerships around the center, and who knows, we could just become the fulcrum, the focal point of our Talanta Hela initiative. Right here. Asanteni sana, I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing those of you here, and other young Kenyans who are talented in diverse areas, really using those talents to become great people and to become real contributors to the economic progression of our country. Thank you very much.
What a speech. We can applaud him more. The creative economy is an economy, and creatives are not dunderheads. A round of applause again. Creative arts. A round of applause. And in KCA, there are talents, and under the Ministry of Youth Affairs, the Arts and Sports, we are going to be supported. A round of applause. Thank you very much, CS, Honorable Obama. And in KCA, we only need more advanced knowledge and make change. We also appreciate our visitors. So I kindly request you to kindly stand and through the leadership of our Vice Chancellor and CEO, it's time to just gift our seats. Kindly let's just move on because we want to grab this gift. But you remember us, even in all those conversations, even the families and kids, the talent is here. Around the presence received this gift. Thank you very much. What a time to have this conversation. And panelists, please, let's also join this photo. Our panelists for today, can you let's join this photo? you very much. Allow the applause to take their seats. Allow the applause to take their seats. Allow the applause to take their seats. We have a conversation that is going to be moderated by the celebrated director, producer, chairperson of Department of Performing Arts, Film, Media and Economic Studies. Just so I get what is happening in the creative industry. So I want to welcome Dr. Zippo. Can we take the station now? She is all on site. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, thank you very much, Sis, for briefing me like that. In front of my boss will have had. And you know the way the economy is going. I did the same. I know you really have some time, so thank you very much. Yeah. As I start this session, since I don't have to sit here alone, I'd like to invite my panelists to the front, and then I will allow one person only to ask a question to the CS or a comment. It doesn't have to be a question. So to think of that question, I want to invite my panelists to the front. First of all, let me start with the guest you already saw up here, Ms. Nancy Matino is a FinTech Innovation Director and Business Lead. She's a hands-on tech and digital savvy professional with a history of strong commercial acumen, driving business growth and transformation, success in Kenya and Sub-Saharan Africa. She has worked in very high-level, high-tech, senior levels in big tech like Google, Netflix, DSTV, now works with payments, looking at payments, fintech, banking, media, telcos, and government. She's passionate about creating and driving socio-economic impact through inclusive sustainable programs and businesses that transform and engage lives. But right here at KCA, she's the Vice Chair of Council. We choose well. Welcome to the council. So that I do miss that much, our next guest is Eddie Butita. Eddie Butita is an entrepreneur. People who know how to put money in the pocket. So Eddie Butita is a renowned comedian who built his name by appearing in the popular Churchill show. The star went to Butere High School, Kakamega, which is known as the best high school for performing arts. And then he enrolled at the university for a course in graphics design, which is in our department, sir. The Nairobi comedian has made a name for himself in the industry, and his events company Take Presence Media was very instrumental in translating and directing the Netflix show called Up Show. He is very honored, and we are very honored to have him here at our university. Thank you. We also have Ms. Wakilu Njuguna, the CEO of Hiva Fund. She is a creative industry expert who has led the development and innovation of novel hybrid financial models that combine the best elements of venture capital and impact investment with a keen application of agenda lens to increase access to early and late-stage business capital for youth and women in the creative economy. In short, Hiva Fund gives money to the creative industry. Okay? She has contributed to the establishment of fit-for-purpose financing tools, evaluation processes,
and investment portfolio management that has helped establish new industry best practices. Karibu sana, we have Mike in our midst. Then we have Mr. Timothy Owase, the CEO of Kenya Film Commission, that is our own as an industry. Timothy Owase is currently the Chief Executive Officer of the Commission. He is a member of Public Relations Society of Kenya, Association of Film Commissioners International, the Chartered Institute of Marketing. His academic credentials include Master in Development and Corporate Communications from Daystar University, BBA from Kenya Methodist University, Film Marketing from AFCI University, Postgraduate Diploma in Marketing from Chartered Institute of Marketing, Diploma in Marketing from London Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Diploma in Business Management from Kenya Institute of Management, Certificate in Management Evaluations, among other qualifications. We can truly see why the Kenya Film Commission has really transformed over the years, because we have the right person in place. Welcome, Timothy Owase. Because it is not okay for our guests to be called on both sides, I would like to request Professor Nywera to just move. Thank you very much. Now, who's the winner? Yeah, so what's the question? Great.
All protocol observed. Good morning. My name is Enoch Bright. I am a student at KCA doing Bachelor of Film Performing Arts. And apart from school, on the side I pursue music as a hobby. And what they see us as talked about the Talanta Hela. I'm quite interested in the whole idea, and I would love if it could be elaborated so that I can not only me but also other people who are interested in the whole, how they can be. Yes, it's my pleasure.
Only one question. Give our guests a chance to speak.
Thank you, Enoch. Enoch, as I said, Talanta is very simple. And it's about providing a framework to monetize your talents. You already are a student of film and the performing arts, you say, and you're already a musician. So this really is your space. After the unveiling tomorrow, the presidential unveiling tomorrow, the program is going to roll out. Initiatives under this program, like the Who's Next, which is targeting music, is going to be available to you. A program will be announced. It's actually going to be a very open space, and a program will be announced after the launch on how you can plug in. You can plug in physically, meaning that Professor Nywera here could organize a concert here at KCA University, a talent search concert, which would be an open concert for talents that will register in advance. The system will be provided to you, and then we'll bring here scouts, and that will be an opportunity really for you to be spotted. But running alongside that, we have what I call the Talanta Hela Online. It's a digital platform. You can sit in your room and record a 2-minute clip of yourself producing what you believe to be your best musical creation. Go to the Talanta Hela app, which is going to be activated tomorrow, immediately after the launch. The Talanta Hela app will be operational. You can go to App Store and you'll be able to access the Talanta Hela app. start the Talanta app to take you through the steps to enlist and become onboarded onto the Talanta Hela app. Take a clip of yourself singing 2-3 minutes clip, send it in. It will go real time to a talent screening center at the Kenya Academy of Sports at Kasarani, where we're going to have scouts 24 hours pouring over every clip coming in. And if they find your vocal cords of the right character, level, proficiency, you'll be invited for a trial, you'll be invited for an audition. So there's going to be multiple streams of how you can make your talent available to be assessed. And once it is picked, you can then be progressed through the system that has been established. And as I said, the Trace is a program that you can enter. The Grammys will be providing a platform. We have even entered discussions with platforms like Meta that powers Facebook and Instagram. Meta are actually in town and they'll be with us tomorrow as we flag off this program. We are already in discussions with Google, YouTube, all those platforms. So just take advantage of this. Once it is flagged off tomorrow, everything then will roll. Asante sana.
Thank you very much. On that same front, I'll just say, for the first time I got a monetary award. At least my children did not just get a trophy. So the CS Act, he said he will give monetary awards, and I think within 30 days, that is shorter than any tender notice, we got a monetary award. So thank you for acting on the spot. On that same note, I'd like to start by addressing the question still on Talanta Hela, since we have a government official of the panel. I'd like to ask you, Timothy Owase, as a government, how do you hope to tap or feed into the Talanta Hela initiative in regards to the film industry?
The mic is not working. Can you hear me now? Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. First, let me start by appreciating the space that the creative economy occupies. Just as it is entitled The Next Frontier for Economic Development for our nation, let us look at our national blueprint for growth of this nation. That is the Vision 2030. It has 4 pillars. And when we look at these 4 pillars, our creative economy basically touches on each one of them. So government is deliberate, as our CS has indicated, to ensure that monetization of content creation actually happens. And when we look at film, film has various facets that basically touches on everyone. To start with, I would like us to appreciate the fact that when we talk about storytelling, it doesn't have any boundaries in any way. You can have a young person, an old person, a doctor, a pastor, a bishop, a professor, all playing in the same stage. So our role at Kenya Film Commission in government is basically to champion and act as a catalyst to see to it that storytelling in this country actually delivers to economic, social, political, and all other areas of our economies. So the role Kenya Film Commission is playing towards this is basically to see to it that we are able to provide an enabling environment which touches on infrastructural development, capacity development in terms of skills, putting in place the right strategies that will be able to act as a catalyst for growth, think about funding the industry so that our stories are actually told not only for Kenya, but for the globe. Key to this would be co-production treaties, meaning that we need to open our markets, not only telling our stories to ourselves, but stories that can be told to the rest of the world and monetized from each and every angle. The elements of technology are also very big in this particular space, and I just want to jog our minds a bit that before the onset of COVID-19, that is the year 2019-20, the global spend on animation, film, and gaming was $107 billion. This is a lot of money. You can imagine if Kenya had 10% of this amount, then we would be able to have SGR in each and every corner of this nation. And for that, my rallying call to each one of us is that we have that potential. Let's drive the same together. We can be able to achieve it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a very elaborate answer. At least we know that the government is supporting us fully. I'd now like to direct the next question to where we know money is. Because today we want to make money. So let me start with money before we go with what we need to do to make the money. So Ms. Wakiru, Hiba Fund is currently at the forefront of in helping producers of cultural goods and services to build a creative industry through investment loans. According to your assessment, which sector within the creative industry, film, theater arts, making of cultural goods, music, which sector have
Is my mic working? I think it is. Thank you for that question. I feel like it's a trick question because we are centered within the creative sector, and essentially our approach is that we are looking at the sector across the board. We are looking at which are the most ready sectors for investments, for example. But aside from that, we are also supporting the ecosystem. We are building the ecosystem around those sectors to ensure that there is an enabling environment. And that could be in form of building skills, in form of providing platforms for the creators and artists to be able to market their services and their creative outputs. But from our observation, we are seeing that the sector there's a huge shift, especially now. And I can see the time is now, especially for the continent, for young people, for Kenya as well. The reason I'm saying that is because we have seen a lot of international investment focus within the creative sector. And one of the things that's interesting is that the shift has happened rapidly. Because in 2014, we were talking about the future being creative. I think this is the future. We're in that future now. And so what's interesting is that what we have seen on our end from making this investment is that it's not really about which sector, it's more about what is the ecosystem around the sector. Is it an enabling ecosystem? So like for example, for film, there has been, even for us, we have a huge portfolio of businesses or production companies that we're working with. And that's because there has been a lot more infrastructure and government support in the film space. A lot of stuff still needs to be done, but I want to applaud the commission as well as the government because they have actually put in some work to ensure that the environment is enabling. And so when we go into it, you find that there are all these systems that have made the sector work and are making the sector attractive to investment. We're seeing international networks coming into the country, actually looking for talent, looking for production companies to be able to produce these films and these shows. And so I would say, from my observation, film is definitely up on the list, but I also don't want to discount that other sectors like content creation, fashion, theater as well, are also well on their way to getting to that point. And so I think maybe how I can answer that question is to say that there are definitely sectors that are more, where ecosystems are more mature than others, but then there's also a lot of room to be able to support those other sectors, and I think that's what we're essentially committed to doing, and I look forward to giving you more details about that.
Thank you very much for that detail without making any sector look like they are the ones who are not making money. Now I'd like to direct the next question to Ms. Nancy Matimu. And Nancy, you have a vast experience on the side of technology, on the side of the creative sector, and I think this is a a very beautiful blend, especially now that you are with fintech and seeing how we can easily get money. So how do you see the link between the creative industry, ICT, and business, especially when we look at how do we get this money? How do you even trust to give us money?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, good morning, and thank you very much, Dr. Zippy. And I'm indeed very happy to be here. But let me speak about, is it the link or what role each one of them plays? So in the creative economy, you have the producers, you have directors, you have the artists, you have all the players. And what technology does is that it plays a role in each one of those to empower each of those players and actors to be able to take advantage of technology to thrive, to promote, and also to distribute and to do so many other things. But being very specific, the first thing I think, and I'll try to speak to the students more than the lecturers, and say that when you see yourself as in the creative economy as an actor in whatever area that you are in, the first and quickest way to actually get known, to drive awareness, get known, to be able to stimulate demand, and then move into what we call monetization and commercializing your trade or your craft is through technology and getting on the right technology platforms. Now, what fintech does, financial technology does, is basically to power the ability for you to be able to monetize and commercialize. And fintech technology, financial technology comes in very different forms. But coming back to exactly how you go about it, you can either choose to do it yourself and work on ecosystems that will give you an opportunity to be able to place your content on those platforms, like Google as an example, or YouTube as an example, or Instagram or Facebook as an example. All those are platforms that you can actually use. But those tend to be freemium sort of platforms. In other words, you get eyeballs, people getting to see you or hear you, or earballs as well, hear you. But you still need to be able to actually make money out of the whole process. So in order for you to make money, you either have to drive a lot of followers and subscribers for you to be able to then have your platform or your specific space being used for publication or publishing of ads. But you also can use the premium route. And the premium route is working with content aggregators and distributors locally and globally. So locally, we have the free-to-air players. You have the likes of Citizen, KT, and KBC. All of them basically are looking for content in one form or the other. And when I talk about content here, I'm talking about all genres of content. Music, sporting content, I'm talking about general entertainment content, current affairs content, and they are all looking for content. And then you have the premium side, which is subscription-based, which is now the platforms like DSTV and GoTV, as well as Showmax and Netflix. So understanding how to go about your business strategy to be able to monetize and commercialize your craft is very important. And creating those networks and external linkages to be able to connect those platforms is important. But also you can take advantage of technology and build your own site as well and your own channels, and using financial technology to power the monetization, be able then to drive monetization by yourself. And I'm sure the gentleman next to me can tell you a great deal of how he's doing exactly that. Just in closing, I'd like to share with you some tidbits. I know the Honorable CS said that the creative economy, you can make a lot of money. And just to put it into context, the music artist, when I was heading up Safaricom Home and Content and running the music platform Skiza, in a single year, Safaricom was making 5 billion shillings from just the music platform alone, Skiza. 5 billion shillings, which was shared, and that was a couple of years back, supposed to be 7 years back, 8 years back, and shared with the different players, which include the distributors and aggregators of the content, but also the artists themselves. Now, coming back to TV and a lot of the content that you see on DSTV and GoTV and Showmax, what you might think is that the biggest viewership happens on what? On the Premier League? On EPL? Watching Arsenal? I'm very sorry to the Arsenal fans. I'm absolutely sorry for what happened in the season. And we celebrate Man City and Man U for the FA Cup. But you might, when you look at the viewership and in terms of performance, whereas, yes, when sports is happening, you get to see upticks. The biggest consumption in this country and across Africa, in the 50 African countries where MultiChoice operates, the biggest grosses, or the highest grosses, are actually local content. So what you see at the top of the charts, you see free-to-air content, you see Maisha Magic, East and Prime as well, which tells you that the demand for local content is so huge. Let me tell you a little secret. None of those actually have enough content to run a 24-hour channel effectively, and that's why you constantly complain about repeats. So if you're in the creative economy sector and you're trying to wonder, how do I get to monetize? The opportunity is massive. Just ensure that you are telling your story authentically, that it is designed and written extremely well, and my good friend, the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission, will tell you one of the biggest challenges we have in the country and the continent is the art of script writing. So if you can get the scripts extremely written well, and then ensure that the quality of the production is really good, you will definitely have the content aggregators and platforms grabbing your content, definitely. And that is why the likes of the Real Housewives of Nairobi, I don't know whether you're watching it. Are you watching Real Housewives of Nairobi? Are you watching Single Kiasi? All those, including, you must have watched Selena, it was very popular. All those produced and directed by Kenyans and grossing and making money quite well. So yes, so just combining everything, business, technology, create your own sites, use the technology to power and work with technology, fintech companies and organizations to be able to power monetization for your content.
You heard her very well. The fastest way to monetize your creative work is through ICT. But she's also spoken on local content being the most watched and how to script well. And here with us, we have a young man who scripted for Netflix. Netflix is believed, I don't know if it's true, but it's believed to be the highest paying platform for African content. Maybe you should share with us your experience, how much money you made. But I know one thing is because of the art of scripting, telling stories in a simple way that anyone can understand. And I think that's for me the rich zone I watch you, Butita. So tell us more about how you got there.
Okay, good morning. About how much I was paid. Okay, I came to understand that big monies have NDAs and small monies you are allowed to announce everywhere. So the NDAs has to be respected. So for me, getting into that space, basically I was a performer. Used to do comedy. I'm still doing it as a performer, as a stand-up comedian. And behind the scene, I was a writer, also part of the creative panels, creating for different comedians on Churchill Show, writing their content, directing them before they get on stage, and also writing for the Wicked edition. So what happened is that in 2020, just before COVID, for the first time, we were transitioning a comedian called Njugush, you all know Njugush, to stand-up comedy, and we did a show at Garden City, which was a stand-up special. So after the show, we did a behind the scene. For the first time, we wanted people who are behind the scene to be able to speak, and so that the audience can appreciate the entire journey, because sometimes we see a performer on stage, but we don't know the work that it has taken, because it's a whole ecosystem. When you see one person performing, maybe other 10 people have been at work, or 50 people, because the entire team at TTNT1, we were like 70 or 80 people. So we did a piece just for everyone to speak to the audience and tell them their roles. And it happened at a time when we did the behind the scene piece. It happened at a time when Event Africa, which is an agency for Netflix, was looking for a person who can adapt the app shows into the Kenyan market. So they wanted to change. The app shows is originally done in English, which is but slang, more of the Black American English. So they wanted to do a version of that, which would be Sheng, like the Nairobi slang is Sheng. So to change the comedy into Sheng and still make sense. And you know, for that, it has already been produced. So where there is laughter, that point should remain the same. So you have laugh tracks, and you have to make sure that this English statement makes sense in Kiswahili, and the punchline remains at the same point where we have laughters. So it was quite a heavy task, because at first it went to Tanzania, and then it came back to Kenya. So by that time, they were looking for the right person to do that. And unfortunately, in this country, we mostly don't talk about the behind-the-scene work. We focus on people who are on the forefront. I know when you're on screen, you have the face value. It's very easy for someone to spot you at once. But now the behind-the-scenes, people don't know about them. So for the first time when we did that, it coincided with someone who was looking for a person to do the exact thing that I was explaining I do on TTNT. Because when I did my story about how I've been writing and how I've been doing content, it went in line with the description that they are looking for. So they called me to for an interview. I didn't know it's Netflix, because apparently these big companies, they don't even let you get into details before a lot of things. So after the first and the second meeting is when I realized the project that I was doing was for Netflix, and I was like, mungesema mapema hata singebagain. Netflix, because that's like a dream for an artist to be on that platform. And when we did that, okay, sorry. So when we did that project is when I understood the format that we've been using as creatives was wrong, because I always thought that you're supposed to do your thing until Netflix finds you, or MultiChoice, or any other platform. But I realized there's an issue of distributors. This is one thing we had not factored in. Most artists don't know that part, because we are always creating to the top. We are creating until we get to the top. But the format is create, distribute, before you go back to create again. So the distribution part, because these platforms, they say, you people are not, they keep on saying, you people are not giving us content. But content creators and creative, we are like, we have content and you people don't want our content. So there is a disconnect. Creators, we have good content, the platforms need content, but both of us feel like we are not serving each other. So when we were doing the Netflix projects, we understood that there are actually people where you can take your content to them, and they do that part of getting market for that content. And they have good networks, they can guide you on the quality, because we also, we were told have a good camera. We were not told have good sound, have different soundtracks, what. You see, so you go and hire a good camera for maybe 30,000 per day. A very nice camera, but you're shooting a roundabout scene and cars are moving everywhere. And they're like, the standards for these platforms and TV do not allow that is that when you're shooting at a roundabout, you need to do that dialogue separately in a studio so that people are mastering the sound can be able to differentiate each aspect in that. So such things, I realize that sound is very key. Sound is very key even than the picture quality. Yes, the picture quality is important, but sound is key. Yeah.
I will not take that politely, put it. Lighting is very key.
Yes, to me. You can watch a bad video with good sound, but not a good video with bad sound. Yes, they have to go together, but sound is key.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah. Before I go on, I'd also like to recognize that we have guests from the industry in the house, starting with Christine is the founder of Anos One Fine Day, and we are very glad to have her. She is constructing, not seeing through, constructing as we talk, an art center for the children for arts in Kenya. Welcome. We also have Peter Kawa. Peter Kawa is also the founder. Today we have founders. The founder of Sana Post, and right now they have got Sana Academy, where they provide short courses for artists. We also have Roy Gitahi. Roy Gitahi is also the founder of Wasanii Sacco. He's trying to make artists learn how to save small. Then we also have John Wambugu. John Wambugu, he's the Kenyan and East African representative for Canon. Canon, I think, is the largest distributor of cameras to all academic institutions in Kenya. And thank you so much for your support always. As we go to the next round of questions, I'd like to go back to Timothy. Timothy, you talked about co-productions as a way to, as a next frontier for the creative economy. As Kenya Film Commission and as artists in the industry, we have got very few, we call them treaties, agreements, all those government terms. But what is it that makes these treaties important? Because as filmmakers in the industry, sometimes we can just call Uganda and why don't we do this? But what is the importance of having these treaties and agreements for international co-productions in place?
Thank you, Daktari. Co-productions are part of the ecosystem for the film industry or the audiovisual industry. So the importance of these co-productions borders on marketing, production, funding, capacity building, among others. When you co-produce with a different country, what that means is that you can be able to, as a producer, get financing from that partner country. You can be able to get cast and crew from that particular country, meaning you can be able to enhance your product from the level you will have had if you were doing it on your own to a level where it's a co-produced product between two countries. I want to ask ourselves to think about countries like Britain, who have British Council here in Kenya. Germany have the Goethe Institute. The French have Alliance. The Italians have the Italian Cultural Center. And these centers have been in this country for the past very many years. We need to ask ourselves, why have these giants seen that it's so critical to have their cultural facilities in our country for those many years, funded them with the exchequer money, and yet us as Kenyans, we have not mainstreamed this particular component. And that's why I agree with the cabinet secretary when he says that we need to mainstream the creative economy to a level where we are budgeting for it, we are properly planning, and we are also undertaking every element of the creative economy in a very organized and planned manner. At an operational level, I must also say that as producers or creatives, we must look at this as not only entertaining element, but as very serious business that you have to properly plan. When you are seeking for funding, for example, from HIVA Fund, you need to go to HIVA Fund with a proper business plan, with a predetermined element as to how much you actually intend to get as far as your project is concerned. Going back to the co-production treaties, co-production treaties have been applied for a very long time to enhance relationships between countries and also to expand business elements between producers and their counterparts. So it's in the best interest of any given government, including ours, that we actually come up with proper treaties between Kenya and other countries so that we expand the distribution element for our country. At the same time, give space to the creatives to be able to partner with their co-producers from those other countries, and also expand our way of storytelling so that we are able to attract viewership from all corners of this world. Because when Kenya signed with South Africa in November last year, and of course that is an agreement that is yet to be implemented, but I can assure you, South Africans, when they start co-producing with the Kenyans, South Africans will start consuming our content, and we will also continue consuming South African content, which will mean that we expand our market. And when we talk about Pesa Mfukoni, and you have a larger market, then that means that the pie will even grow bigger. And when it does grow bigger, we'll be able to tell more stories and also create more jobs and enhance more benefits that come out of this particular industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Timothy. And I'd just like to appreciate the work that you're doing in the film industry. I think we now have got the Film Empowerment Fund, which is really helping. And most notably is that we have got the fund divided into different categories so that even my students at this level can be able to apply for the fund and be able to get the money to produce different projects. So thank you very much for that. And we believe that soon we will have that fund having co-production fund. So thank you very much. Yeah, okay.
At the Commission, it's our role to open those doors as far as creating linkages between Kenyan producers with their counterparts in other countries. So as part of pushing for co-production arrangements, the Commission is identifying key partners. And as we identify these key partners, we're also asking you content creators that be very deliberate and intentional on what you do. Let us not be relegated as a third world industry, because our level of space within economies cannot be compared to any other. I can assure you that the screen sector today is a force to reckon on, whether here in Kenya or anywhere else. All we need is to actually champion the pole position that we ought to have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, on that same note, I'd like to ask Ms. Wakiro, as you have heard, we already have a proposal for having a creative arts center here at KCA University. The CS has already said he will put his full support through that. I just want to ask you this because my CEO is listening. Hiva Fund, you work with a lot of funders and fundraisers. What is your criteria? How do you manage to get this money for the creative industry? And how can we, as a creative arts center, tap into this? Because your previous works, we know, has been going directly to organizations, but now this will be like a collective, like Hiva Fund is a collective. So how can you support the Creative Arts Center that can be established or that are already existing? Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
two questions, yeah. So the first one was how Hiva has managed to fundraise for the creative sector. And let me just say that we started in 2014. And for us, the question around sustainable livelihoods for artists was essentially what we were trying to meet or to respond to. Hiva is actually run by creatives. So the thing is, what we did is we had a collective of artists. And within the collective, we realized that this money comes, but it doesn't really go to the creatives. The money comes, if you talk about platforms for musicians, every day I hear musicians complaining. Yes, there's $5 billion, 5 billion shillings, but the money that's going to the actual musician is probably 30% of that, because there are all these middle people. And so for us, we realized that the cycle remained. So we would see all these programs, and that, you know, some of them were grants, and grants are great and they're very important. And I'll speak about that when you talk about the Arts Center. But then when you think about long term, how do you actually get these artists, these content creators to have money, pay for insurance, pay for their kids in school, buy houses, you know, all those things. And we saw that a lot of artists actually had, like, the artist's work was a side gig. And so what we did is we really worked to make sure that we respond to the needs of the artists and the creative economy. And we don't look at it from one blanket approach. So we realized that for someone who is a content creator or a writer, their needs are very different from someone who is producing or directing a film, or from someone who is running Blankets and Wine, for example. And so what we've done over the years is we have heard what the sector is saying. We come back as a financial institution, and we're not just a financial institution, but we make sure that those complaints, when they say that I went to a bank, they asked me for, or even, let me give you an example. There's someone we were speaking to, she runs a very successful fashion company. She has never gotten a loan from a bank because her business is in fashion. So first of all, it's looked at as a very risky investment. The second thing is even the approach to structuring maybe a credit facility for that person already has recognized that this person is high risk. And so for us, we saw, okay, these are very young people. A lot of them are women, young people. We can't start asking them for collateral, for example, because they don't have collateral. Maybe to say that what we've done is, so we've responded to these needs, and I think it's being able to build this, that we've gone back to the investors and our partners and say there's actually a case to make for this sector, and we have shown it with the kind of investments we've made over the years. So back to how HIVA can be able to support the Center of Excellence. One of the things we realized that's really important is education, building capacity, upskilling, and also providing infrastructure and space for either people to produce, rehearse, and all those good things. And so within what we are doing, we just don't support and put investment into the creatives themselves. We also put investments into the infrastructure around the creative. So how I see it, and I don't want to fully commit, but what I can say is that being able to support, spaces and centers like this one is something that's of very high priority for us going forward, because we recognize that there's a need and there's a gap. And so we can definitely have a conversation on the side and see how HIVA can be able to support. And we're already working with KCA with the Netflix project, so it's something that we would definitely be open to discussing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. This project is already born. Now back to Nancy, you talked about how we can make money, how we are not making enough money, how local content is the best, but just like she has said, the money does not trickle back to artists. We have a lot of artists who are making big money, like they are the highest rating, but we still have issue with medical funds and all. So my question is, going to the banks, going to fintech, if the money is through ICT, it comes back to us through M-Pesa, which is still ICT. So credit companies, loans. I don't even want to say creative artists, yeah, loans. We are high risk. We do not have a standard income, like we get money as artists once, after 3 months, payments always come after 90 days or so. So the bank says, no, there's no continuous flow. However, as fintech, how can you help up this? And what is the impact or role of fintech in creating investor capital for creative artists? Because investor capital is where somebody tells you, I have faith in you. I want to take a risk with you. But how can fintech make us do this? Because you're making money through us, 5 billion to be precise, in your past life. But how does Butita, Zippy, create 2015 get not 5 billion, not 3 billion, but 4 billion?
Okay, all right. So I'll restructure and reframe the question to a great extent, in the sense that what you want to know is you have the majority of the people that the financial institutions are servicing. So the first thing is that we need to work very closely and collectively as an organization. I think the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission, together with various collective bargaining organizations and CMOs, is trying to ensure that they are able to actually bring you together. I know in the past that can be a bit dicey, because in the past I know you have felt as artists disenfranchised and players by the people then who go and represent you. But my advice would be, together, when you work with these players and work with the fintechs and the banks to structure specific products designed to be able to suit your uniqueness. So that's to say, for instance, when you get a facility that expects you to pay within, let's say, within a day or within a week or a month, that will not work for you. Because the way you work is that you get the money, you go into production, and then you come back and monetize. So how then do you negotiate for terms to be able to have a moratorium during that period, but also design products? So what I can say is that specifically, you have very specific organizations that are looking at structuring unique products. So for instance, what we're doing at Serari, we are actually looking at collateral-backed digital lending backed by very specific assets. So how can we then work with the creative economy to be able to package your asset, whether it is your film or whether it is your specific label, and then be able to lend you money against exactly that, because it needs to be a very structured and very unique, highly differentiated product from what is already available there. And you have to help us understand your different cycles that are very different from everybody else. But I would say that you need to be able to also proactively reach out, and that's why it's good to work with the collective management organizations or whatever other distribution organization that you have, to be able to approach financial institutions and fintechs to co-create products that suit you. Co-create products that suit you.
Thank you very much. Actually, what you're talking about is happening in West African countries. African Development Bank is working closely with filmmakers, taking the risk, and owning copyright too with the work. And I think that really helps with seeing how it's marketed. The other day, I was asking an ABSA manager, we are seeing them sending us promotions that go watch Fast and Furious. So I asked, how can we have the bank send a poster of my event for people to come and watch? So those are conversations that I believe the panelists today can help us negotiate with these financial institutions. Back to you, Butita. What I liked when you spoke last is, whatever you do, do it well, because you never know who is noticing. And I think that resonates with a lot of us, and it is important for our students to know that whatever you do, do it well, because the way he was identified from behind the scenes to go to be a scriptwriter for one of the biggest shows in the world is because he was doing it without expectations, and something great came out of it. But now I want to throw you in the ditch. We are talking a lot on artificial intelligence, gaming, animation, and I want to look at your view as one of the young creatives on this panel, one of the young. What do you see is the future of artificial intelligence in the creative industry, and what is your space in there?
Okay. At first, when the AI thing was trending all over, and there was a lot of videos about things that artificial intelligence can do, even the chat GPT. And okay, at first I panicked, and I even tried telling ChatGPT, we were doing a show called Anastoto by that time. So I was like, ChatGPT, write for me a hospital script with a clinic where the reception is arrogant and the doctor is... So I tried a few things and just prompt the AI to see if it will give me something that can compete with the brain now. And a script came up, and I was like, okay, I have a script here. Went through it. Then so I was like trying to write a few jokes and let just an image generate. And I realized that the performance aspect is still not the same as me watching that naturally. So on that side, I'm safe. On the other side, I think it's also advantageous in some aspects because there's an AI feature for video automation. And what you do, you put a script, then it generates a video based on stock footages and images and just create a well-edited video that you can automatically post it online. And if you look something like YouTube automation is one of the biggest things currently. You know about YouTube automation? Automation is you've watched these videos where someone is narrating like, can be five greatest footballers, five greatest what, but it's just a voice with stock footages, like understanding the business of Bitcoin, or reasons why TikTok succeeded. You've seen such videos. So a lot of people are doing that and they're using AI. It's like it just goes to ChatGPT and is like, why was TikTok successful? Then copies that to AI that generates automation video and posts that. So it also has its own advantages in the industry because now it's also giving, minimizing the task. But there are some key aspects that cannot be replaced with AI. In fact, aside from the creative industry, there's someone who was trying to prove a point that there are limits AI cannot get to. So there was a picture that was going viral, unfinished buildings, just a building that is unfinished, written, ChatGPT cannot finish this building. So let's not panic, but also let's agree that there is a space that AI is going to fill. So it's up to you to be very keen and know which is this space that's going to be filled and where can I still play a role. Because content is king. Everything changes, technology comes, and it keeps on improving. But you see, like Facebook, since Facebook began up to now, it's constantly changing to accommodate content styles and formats. But the key thing is content. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that elaborate answer. I can see people want to clap.
As much as it can do something, it has to get perfect set of rules, which still depends on you. Yeah.
Yeah, a robot is a robot. Yeah, a human has to direct it. Yeah, I always say AI is like your dishwasher, washing machine for those who use machines. And it only makes your life easier, but it cannot put the clothes on the side, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to open the floor for 3 questions before I have the final brief. So 1, 2, hey, no, where are the ladies? Okay, 1, 2, because we have got Miss Fashion Couture. I have to give her a chance. So 1, 2, 3. All right, let's start with our student boss.
Good morning. My name is Kaimeni Samuel. I'm a marketing finance student here and also the student secretary general. So I'll direct my question to Nancy. And before I make my question I would love to say that many students in business, technology, creative economy, they're having a number of startups, projects, and also I'd love to pin out our students, for example, they have a recent projects on mistaken identity. I think it's the best thing and the big thing that it's currently trading. So how can fintech companies maybe support these startups, maybe in terms of loans, grants, or maybe the fintech companies buying shares in those projects? I think it's something that can help them a lot. Thank you.
I'll pick the other question. Yes.
Good morning. My name is Kelly, taking journalism, and also a delegate in the Department of Performing Arts. My question goes to Butita, Eddie Butita. I'm asking this: is it possible for you to mentor students in a way that you take students and pay them for internships? Yeah. Thank you.
Especially the part of pay them.
Yes.
Miss Fashion from KCA University.
My name is Wakesho Mwashuri. I am the current Miss Fashion Couture KCA University 2023. I'm also Miss County Taveta. It's an honor to be here and a pleasure. Allow me to send greetings to our VC Prof. I have a question, and this goes to all our panelists. I've heard us talking about the creative economy, but I've not really had anyone major on the fashion industry. We've mostly majored on the film and the music industry. This is a question I think I'm asking for many models and who have majored in pageantry. What is your view on the modeling industry, and how do you think we can make an impact in the creative economy? Because I believe, for me, I do Bachelor of Information Security and Forensics, and with the project that I'm undertaking, there is a way that I'm using technology, but not every model will choose to use technology as a route for them to be available in the creative economy. So what is your advice on models and fashion designers at large? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I'll start from bottom up, and that question from our Miss Fashion Couture, I'll give it to Hiva Fan, because I know Hiva Fan
sectors within the creative economy that are also thriving, and fashion is one of them. I think for the fashion space, and I'll speak from our perspective, it's definitely a vibrant sector. And the thing that's interesting for me about fashion is how many other feeder subsectors it has. Like you said, you're a model, so it has the modeling, it has, fashion can also, you know, kind of like stream into the film space because of styling. There's also makeup artists who also kind of like feed into fashion. I think the thing that we are missing essentially here is that it's heavily focused, one, on the production of fashion. I know from a lot of conversations that downstream, especially for those feeder subsectors like modeling, talent, all that stuff, there hasn't really been any policies or any just like terms of engagement around that ecosystem. And I know that there are a lot of issues around payments, a lot of issues around safety for people who are in that space, issues around how you know, suppliers are engaging and all that stuff. So I think for me, one of the things that I find really has worked for other sectors is the need for community, the need to come together as a group of, and I'm sure there is one probably, but also the need to strengthen those associations, because only through those associations will you then be able to lobby for things to change within that sector. And I think one of the things that I'm really impressed by what Roy is doing, who is seated here, is that they are also looking at the other things around the creative. So outside of being able to build an association that actually supports that particular artist or that particular line of work, it's also thinking around how can that association be used to promote social welfare for the artists. And so I do feel that, yes, there needs to be some work and some thinking around how artists can come together, because out of that is where you see like government will notice that this is actually a really strong network of artists, and then you're able to lobby for a lot more, I guess, you know, services from government or even from other stakeholders within the ecosystem. So fashion for me is, I have a passion for fashion, and I do feel that even as we're talking about the creative sector, the creative economy, it's also important to recognize that there are so many other sectors across the board. I think the reason we were skewed today is because the conversation started on film, but I also would like to acknowledge that, you know, we acknowledge that there are so many other inputs from other sectors that are also valuable within the creative ecosystem.
Before we proceed, I have gotten a silent note that we have Ms. Oko from the ministry who would like to respond to the fashion question.
Now, I don't know whether to stand because this is very closely related to Talanta Hela. Now, my name is Olivia Ouko. We were part of the team that came with Waziri, but we remained listen to the conversation. Now, he talked about the next big thing, but today he focused mainly on the film and the sports. Talanta Hela is broad. Actually, under Talanta Hela, there's also fashion and pageantry. And under Talanta Hela, we are looking at the value chain for the fashion, right from the raw material to the person who makes the product to the marketing. So when the whole package will be unveiled, you'll realize that under Talanta Hela, there's also room for what you're doing and the pageantry and all that. The broader picture is it's just monetizing that talent. There's that talented fundi. Actually, one of the things that we want to do now, we are calling it Fundi Friday. Fundi Friday will be an initiative where, as government officers on Friday, you know, we have dress down Fridays, but now we want to specifically market and wear products made by our fundis, wherever we'll get them from. So Fundi Friday is still a part of Talanta Hela, of Talanta Hela. So it's very, very broad. As Talanta Hela and packages itself, everybody will be able to see the niche where they can get in. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Go to the next question to Butita on how he can pay interns.
Okay, yes. I don't know for the rest of the industries or players, but where I come from at SPM, we do that. We have paid internship, but now we also have a criteria, because you said, can we train you and pay you? So you can't just wake up and come, we train nini mnilipe. So we have a criteria where we look for maybe an area that we need something to be done, maybe the production side, the script writing, performance. And now there's a way we do public, sometimes public auditions or submissions, where you can send your work, let us know, because sometimes mostly we look at what you can do, and we, before even going to the details of academics and what, we want to see that project that you did, how it looks like, and just your potential based on what you've done before. Then after shortlisting is when we accept some people for internship, which is paid for a certain period. If need be, now we can confirm and work with you for the rest.
Thank you for that answer. To Nancy, how can FinTech pick up the startups at KC University? This one is not even how, you know, you are the vice chair. of Council. This is just to tell the Secretary General of Students.
General, and on behalf of all the students. Now, I've actually taken time to think through that while I was jotting. And let me say that it's interesting that startups are always asking, where do I get funding? And then there are those that are looking for startups to actually fund. So there's actually a very serious gap between connecting the various players. And I want to give you a bit of my personal experience. So when I was at MasterCard, in my role as the head of market development for Sub-Saharan Africa, we were working with startups and fintechs across Africa and scouting for them and finding solutions to be able to fund. And there were different forms of funding. We could fund, and MasterCard still does that, so does Visa, commercial grants, which are purely to support you in commercializing and being able to find customers and grow customer base and drive usage of your products, but using certain products that belong either to MasterCard or to the sponsor, that would be Visa. So some sort of commercial grants, and you don't have to give up equity. Then you have equity funding, where you have to give up equity to a great extent, or you have debt instruments that also support you to be able to drive your startup. Now, I realize that there's a very low level of awareness amongst the startups, especially in the student community in Kenya and across Africa in general. And the reason why I say that, again, when I was at MultiChoice, which is where I've just come from recently, we had an accelerator program for Africa. And the accelerator program, which happens every year, looks for startups in health tech, fintech, in agri-tech, in any particular area, as long as you're using technology to digitize the experiences or the workings of the specific area that you've chosen, for us to be able to, and then MultiChoice would then pick you and give you a platform to be trained on how to pitch. Because the reason why we are now seeing a shift of money going into Nigeria and a little bit of South Africa, where Kenya was leading before, is because Nigerians are extremely good at pitching. Extremely, and it's an art. So it's a one thing to have a great startup and a great idea that's solving a very specific problem. It's another thing being able to pitch effectively and correctly in front of the right people to be able to access funding. So what I'd like to recommend to Professor Vincent Onywera and to the Vice Chancellor, the CEO of the organization, is that I can commit to work with Professor Onywera, and we can have a forum for startups, and we can bring in the likes of MasterCard and Visa, including Serari Group ourselves, and we can also bring in IQ Business and various other players who are actually working actively to find, spotlight startups, and to be able to give you a platform to be able to access funds, whether it's in the form of grants or whether it's in the form of debt or equity. Yes, and we'd be more than willing to do that at the very...
Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a better clap? You know, when you talk money, money just starts coming. Yes.
And we essentially invest or work with startups and businesses, and we invest in them. I think one of the things that I will take back to you as regards to startup funding, one of the things that we find, and I think that's actually essentially what Nancy is saying around investor readiness, and how as a business, as an entrepreneur into that business, how ready are you to receive financing? And do you know what kind of financing you want? Because we could come with all these options, but then you have to know what exactly do you feel will work for your business, and what are those things that you want to do with that funding, because you also have to be very clear. Even before you get to the pitching stage, I think it's an introspection in your business to see what are the actual needs, what are the strengths you have, create kind of like something to be able to, what value are you bringing as a business, as a startup? And you will find that there's a commonality between most of the businesses that are funded, and that's that they already have created value, they already are able to communicate that value, and out of that, then they are able to bring other people in to support them in the creation of that value. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say that it also starts with the introspection, but I think also there is, we think about startup funding in kind of like that lens, but I also wanted to say that there is also room to think about other options of funding, essentially. There are some businesses that grow, you know, with other types of funding, whether it's, you know, bringing in like people within your space to put in small monies, whether it's, is your business already making money? Are you able to churn that money back into your business? And so even before you get, because one of the things that investors ask is how much of your money have you put in, and all that. So I guess start with the introspection and then now look outward as you're looking through your funding options.
Thank you very much. As we come to the final round of compliments and final comments, I'd like to request my very good friend Timothy to pledge to us that when we open the Creative Arts Center, he will also establish a studio, because I know he has done this before. So requesting him to do this at KCA should not be a big task, because it will be empowering the youth. So based on that, you can just talk about your initiatives and how you will support our Creative Arts Center with a film lab.
Very much, and I want to appreciate the commitment by the university on setting up a Creative Arts Center, because that's a center that will be able to provide an array of opportunities for many young people. And us at Kenya Film Commission, our role is basically to act as a catalyst for growth in this particular industry. And I want to remind my sister in fashion, the reason as to why the panelists focused mainly on audiovisual, within the audiovisual value chain, we have a whole department of art and design. So it's an assumption that we have actually covered fashion in full, and that as we go forward, let us mainstream all departments within this value chain so that we are able to have them as prominently appearing as possible. Back to Kenya Film Commission, many of our programs are geared towards developing and growing the film industry in the country. We are working on how we can be able to have a properly working film incentives that will be able to ignite the development and growth of the local film industry, while at the same time attracting mega investments into the sector to have studios and other facilities that will be able to facilitate international producers who intend to come and shoot their films on location in Kenya. You can imagine having a global producer coming here to have a set at KCA University, do the entire field production, and carry the materials to go and do post-production in a different country. That's what we would like to avoid. Beyond that, the Commission is also focused on capacity development, and that's why we are partnering with many institutions, including KCA, the Ministry of Education, and also focusing on the National Drama, Film, and Music Festival, because that's where we are identifying talent and trying our best to see to it that from all these institutions, including universities, we are able to place them in the industry so that you have real hands-on experience. So when it comes to placement, again, Kenya Film Commission is your partner. We would like to continue with the county initiative of setting up film hubs. Daktari is asking us to come and set up a film hub here, but I believe a film hub is a small component when you compare to the Creative Arts Center. So by virtue of setting up the Creative Arts Center, inherently, we are actually setting up a film hub at KCA University. So let's collaborate and see to it that we are able to work together and have this actualized.
Makofi, Makofi, Makofi. Vice Chancellor, I think the only thing remaining is the building. Everything else is done.
Connecting or creating linkages for the university with other key universities. You've all heard about Arizona University in the US, which is the only public university focusing on the creative arts in the entire US as far as publicly funded universities are concerned. We can be able to borrow much from them, how they have been able to succeed, so that we position ourselves as top class or world class university as far as creative arts is concerned. So the doors are open at Kenya Film Commission. Karibuni, and let's work together to see to it that we can be able to tell our stories the very best way possible and have these stories shape the way we work, the way we relate, and the way we actually create wealth for this nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll be taking final comments. That's your final comment.
More comments, but I'm good.
All right, so I'll just proceed in the same line. Yes, Ms. Wakiri.
So for me, maybe just to say that from Hiva's perspective, we have been committed to the sector. And I think the question, the vibe of as the young people say nowadays, the vibe of what I've been hearing from the questions is how do the people who are here connect to everything we're talking about. And the first thing that I wanted to highlight, and again I will focus on Roy because you mentioned him and I have seen him, he's on my line of sight, is the power of network and association. Everybody who is here and they are creative, you have to see Roy on the side because he's in the process of setting up a circle for the creative sector, and through that circle is where you will be able to access a lot of these opportunities. Because with the power of the circle, he will be able to talk to MasterCard as a unit, he will be able to talk to the Commission as a unit, he'll be able to talk to HIVA as a unit. And so I would highly encourage that everybody who is committed and serious about their artistic output, looking to make money, and even when you think about what circles do, before even people get to going for money from fintechs and funds, circles are a very, very good avenue for very kind of like early stage financing. And so please speak to Roy. I'm here shamelessly plugging what he's doing. But the other thing that I wanted to say also is our commitment is also with learning and education. And we have, I think, demonstrated very interested in continuing to be able to offer those opportunities to the creative sector. And I also wanted to urge everyone who's creating. So I watched a movie recently where these robots took over. And sometimes it feels like it's very far from where we are. But I remember I think it was sometime last year, there was a conversation around this guy who left one of these big AI companies, I think it was Google, and he was talking about the ability of the robot to become, is it the word sentient, like human? So what I wanted to say is, the AI we're interacting now is version 000. The AI of tomorrow will be something else. ChatGPT is giving us information for 2021. It's connected up to 2021 to the internet. So it hasn't gotten to 2023 now, which I'm sure is what they're working on. The idea of AI is that it keeps learning. It learns how we feel, it learns how we think, it learns, all those nuances of a human being. AI picks them up, and then now it becomes its own thing. So yes, we are far, or maybe we are not. I don't know, maybe someone from the AI side would be able to tell us. But I just wanted to say that there is definitely opportunities. It's a scary thing. It's a threat. The other day I saw in the States, there was a case in court where they were trying to determine whether AI can own IP. So it's gotten to the point where they're actually having these conversations from a legal perspective. And so I think even as we think and sit and feel like it's a bit far removed from where we are, I'd urge all of us to also just embrace the fact that we are going into a world we do not know. Adaptability, flexibility will be the thing that I guess makes us or keeps us, I don't know how relevant my job will be in future, but definitely for the creative sector, there are positives and there are negatives, and I think if we can just keep kind of like trying to adapt in a sense, you know, with the technology that we are seeing and trying to use it for our benefit as opposed to trying to oppose it, then we will be able to progress. Yeah. That's all my final, yeah.
Yeah, now to Butita. A lot of interest to our creative students, and I'd like to say they specifically chose you among the other list of names I don't want to mention here, so give them your final encouraging comments.
Okay, for me, my final statement will be just to challenge creatives, because from the conversation we've had here, as creatives, we want to benefit from the Kenya film, we want to benefit from EVA Fund and people who can fund our projects. We also want to benefit from the fintech industry, the ideas. But now there is something that's very, very important. I think right now we are really struggling to benefit from all these entities because of structures. Because as much as we are creatives, now the business side has to be ruthless because money is involved. And now we end up, yes, we have good products, we can create good content, good films. As in the fashion industry, you have good designs. But now when it comes to packaging that business for a pitch, that's where we have a big problem. And maybe if we can take our time and as much as we research for how to get good content, how to create well, how to be the best, can we also research on these other areas, like how are the administration structures have to look like when I'm presenting myself as a business? That's where we need to work together from different spaces. Not only people are in the film, is it the faculty, film faculty? But you can be in the accounts, in the business administration, in different field, and you want to play a role in the creative side. There is still that space, because look at the creative industry. It's the only industry that accommodates all other industries in it. When we are doing a great film, we have people who do technical, we have engineers, we even have caterers, we have drivers, we have electricians. So all these people can be accommodated in these industries. So it's up to us to know how do we form this structure that can move well in terms of business. How do I put my finance well? When I'm called at EVA Fund and I'm told, okay, there's money here, but what are your profits and losses? Are you able to say, since I started creating this concept this year, this is how much I've spent, and these are my losses, these are my profits, this is my projection? Because I'm sure if you are to give me money or to give someone here money, because I know you'll give me, but if you are to give them, let's say 5 million, they have to come back next year and say how they were able to utilize this money. And it's not about I produced this and sold this. It's like, this is where I was spending, this is the areas that are my weakness. So that's the big task. And let's get information, maybe even if it's from different people online, the business side. If not there, maybe you can interact with, like me, I'm open. You can just contact me and we can share ideas, because we are not yet there. But for us, we feel like that has been our big problem. We've found people who are willing to fund our projects. Actually, the highlight of there's a time someone wanted to give us money that I think would have changed our lives, but they are like, we need 2 years projection. It was 5 years projection, and P&L. That was the first time I was hearing about P&L, profits and losses. I was like, okay. So we only feel like we don't need accountants, because senior wasanii manze, Kumbe, I need to get an accountant, even if it's just a friend, and they can say, okay, I can't afford to pay your monthly salary, but I'll be paying you per project or at a certain fee. Yeah, kazi kikuja tukule. Sa ile hakuna, tusaidiane. So like, we need an accountant, we need a HR to give us a good structure. Yeah, and Peter Kawa can agree with me because he's been doing different projects that I've seen. They have those structures. So money is there, opportunities are there, but without structures, we can't get them. So let's get information and also interact and see how can we put structures in art, in our creative side and in art.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think most of the creative companies in Kenya, KRA realized since 2021 that they're making money and closed them all until they provide this VAT and all that. So this year and last year, a lot of creative companies have been at KRA trying to learn what VAT is, what tax is, and people are being told to give audited reports, and they don't understand what do you mean. So there's a lot to learn, and I think we are in the right space. We are the premier university of business, and I believe we are going to do a lot in training the creative sector and business.
You've said we're in this wonderful university. I really feel that we also need to start building the capacity of business to meet the needs of the creative sector. So, for example, when it comes to accounting, I've done CPAs, but when I went to film, I was part of a crew, and I was the accountant in that film. I was very lost because things are very different. And so I think also when we're thinking about creating a center of excellence and the school being a business school, it's also starting to think about how do we build marketers for fashion companies? How do we build accountants who can go into a film production and actually be able to account for millions of shillings for that particular film? So I also wanted to challenge the VC and the team at KCA that we can also start to think about how we build the ecosystem around the creative sector, because the expectation that a creative can be a good accountant, I think we are really, really reaching far when we start to think that someone will be able to do an audit, for example. But can we have auditors who have an awareness of how to think about the creative sector?
Thank you very much. Makofi. I love that angle. You know, I started saying I have a ready answer because I thought you were going to say you need to train artists on how to do business. We've had that, and truly it's in our curriculum. But I like the aspect of we need to train marketers, business people to work in the creative industry, to specialize in marketing for entertainment. I always say we don't have enough marketers for entertainment, and I think that's a very great point. And then now to you, Nancy, your final comment.
Thank you very much. Now I've been listening, and specifically to the students that are asking the questions, and I can feel the hunger for information to fill and seal the gap around funding, around understanding how to make money, etc. So we possibly train you a great deal on how to become a great creative artist. We train you how to become a great as a business owner, as an example. But I can tell you from my personal experience, even having run and worked in various organizations, one of the gaps and skills that we must address is the understanding of what we call the product and innovation life cycle, as well as product prototyping, which is not necessarily taught in the classroom. We tend to do it in organizations, and I think with Professor Onywera, we have to figure out how to make that integral to what we are training as part of the innovation. And then the other big gap, huge gap, is monetization and commercialization strategies, and how you go about them and approach commercialization. Now, it might sound very complex, but not complex, but it's also not very straightforward, and it's not often common sense for all of us. And it's not necessarily what we've learned in the marketing class, it's not necessarily what we've learned in the business class or the finance class that actually serves for that. So in organizations, we then come back and sit and come up, what is the monetization and commercialization strategy? But it's not taught anywhere in the classroom per se. So I think we can still figure out what we can do to structure our curriculum to accommodate those specific elements, because as my co-panelists are saying, when you go in front of, let's say, a fundraising panel, they are actually looking to first understand how well you have gone through the entire life cycle and how ready your product is, even if it is a prototype stage, and how well you understand your target market and the addressable market, and therefore how you exactly are going to make money. So the art of making money and the science of making money has to be very clear, even when you're pitching in those 5 minutes. And then following through to the pitch and how you basically structure a 5 to 10 minutes pitch. I can tell you, for instance, you might want to ask yourself, why is it that you're only given 5 minutes to maybe maximum 15 minutes to do your pitch? Because having been involved in the process, sometimes we would receive up to thousands and thousands of applications. And then we would have people sieve through those applications. And then when the next step would be, you as one of the judges or the selectors, you would have to go through, I recall going through like almost 400 for one pitching session to identify the finalist 20. 400 to identify the finalist 20. Now the unfortunate thing is that you're not in the room to defend yourself. It's your pitch document that is selling you. And when we would feel that there's possibly an idea, then we try to Google you. So what I would definitely recommend, ensure that the very bare minimum, you're visible and have an online presence. If you don't have it, don't rush to create an untidy, not well curated presence. Take your time, even if it means 3 months or 4 months, to create a proper presence. Because when people want to understand you a little bit more, the one thing we definitely will do is actually to look you up online. So coming back to Professor Onywera and the Vice Chancellor, my plea to you and my offer, I would be willing to come and work with the university and invite various other actors for us actually to make, to fortify and improve the curriculum to ensure that we have product and innovation lifecycle management frameworks that are central and integral to the curriculum that you already have, and then commercialization and monetization strategies. They are so important. You cannot just imagine that people actually get paid so much money to even come up with commercialization and monetization strategies for different organizations to make them succeed. Anything that you see outside there, Safaricom Home, M-Pesa, behind a great product is a fantastic monetization and a commercialization strategy. Not a business strategy, those specific words that I am using. So we need to train you to be able to do that. Now for a startup, you know, increasingly I'm seeing young people, and I applaud the direction of you're not waiting to find a job. You're going out there to create an opportunity and also to monetize those opportunities. But you're not armed with the right skills. So it is upon us then to ensure, and the university, that we empower, and again, going back to the panelists, and have guest lectures like Butita come and talk to you about real life experiences of what's happening in the industry and how they're able to improve, how they're able to actually confront that area. Invite the heads and leaders of commercial organizations or leading, you know, successful commercial organizations to come and talk to you about commercialization and monetization strategies. But in closing, in your own capacity, please just take time to create a proper online presence and ensure that you are discoverable, that you can be discovered and visible across all platforms. You can choose whatever platform best aligns with your craft or with your art, and then also ensure that you're in as many as possible platforms that give you both physical as well as virtual platforms that enables you to expand your external linkages and networks. Because again, I don't know how to put this in a modest way, but unfortunately, the visible carry the day. All the time, you might be sitting with a great idea, but because it was not well packaged, it was not well communicated, it was not visible, not well branded, you lost the opportunity. And many people are coming to Kenya and Africa in the guise of being Africans and Kenyans, and actually picking local startups and then going into pitch as a Kenyan or a Nigerian organization or whatever other country, African country. But they're actually Europeans, they're actually Americans. So if you look at all these so-called African startups that have got the biggest attraction of venture capital funds, it's actually very painful to actually see that there's a different face behind it, and for all the earnings, they get repatriated back into those countries, as a matter of fact. So we need to then build that, and the only difference is that they are better than we are in commercialization and monetization and pitching and fundraising. So if we could address all those things and make it as part of the curriculum and create forums to bring in the external linkages players to be able to build the capacity that is required in the university, and be more than willing to be part and parcel and support you in that journey.
Round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, we have had enough for the day. I want you to go and absorb all this. Timothy told us storytelling is key in the industry. We must work on that. Butita, from all his conversations, whatever you do it well. Then Nancy has now said, visibility carries the day, but there's the other one. Commercialization and monetization strategies. And we have got Wakirui, who told us, Wakirui said that international interest in the creative sector is big now because the future that we used to talk about is now. Ladies and gentlemen, that is for me. I don't know what you took home, but that's for me. So let's give a round of applause to all our guests. I just want to say, whatever you promised, we are very good at following up. And our DVC Research Innovation and Outreaches was having a notebook. Where is the notebook? Yes, he has noted them. The Vice Chancellor, he has a digital book. He has noted them. I here. Nancy, I can assure you we are going to have two guests, one being you and the other one you will tell us, to have that masterclass with our students. That one I'm telling you now, not them. So thank you very much. And because this is KC University, we'd like to appreciate you in a very small way. And we'd like to request our Vice Chancellor and CEO to kindly gift our visitors with something small that anytime they look at it, they remember us. Emily, kindly. I'd like to start with my friend Timothy Owasep, the CEO of Kenya Film Commission. Sorry. Thank you. All right, we'll now then have Ms. Wakirui is a great friend of KC University because she gave us students and sponsored them on Netflix scholarship at KCA University. In fact, we proudly got the most students than all other universities. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Then we'll now have Ms. Wakiroi. Who is saying there's no money in Kenya? Iko pesa. Money has spoken. You call it, it comes. We've called money today and money has come. An MOU has been signed, I've seen. Thank you very much. And now Eddie Butita. Eddie Butita is the richest artist. He has said he cannot even disclose what he has. But I'm just glad that he has secretly promised that we'll have 5 of our students as his interns and they'll tell us how much is worth. So thank you very much, Eddie. Thank you. And now the Vice Chair of our council and the Founder Director of FinTech Solutions, Nancy Matimu. Thank you very much for making my work easier. We were cracking our heads on who to invite. Even next semester to speak to our students, you've solved that puzzle. Thank you. And now back to the Master of Ceremonies for the day.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zipporah Okoth, for moderating such an insightful session. I know I went ahead of myself and really celebrated the fact that creatives are not danders, but there's work to be done. Opportunity meets preparation. So for the creatives, we have a lot of work to do. And I think my take home is when all these panelists were speaking, no one is working in isolation. Collaboration is key. And when all these investments and opportunities come, how prepared are you? Are you the one who is visible to carry the day when talents are being scouted? I know you are. So let's do the work. Without further ado, without preempting the vote of thanks, I kindly request Dr. Priscilla Gashige, Dean, School of Education and Social Sciences, to give us a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. Although he has left, but I know he's represented. The CS Ministry of Youth Affairs, the Arts and Sports, Honorable Ababu Namwamba, our Vice Chancellor and CEO, Professor Isaiah Wakidiki, our guests from different government agencies and representatives from the private sector, KCA University staff and students, a very good morning to you all. My name is Priscilla Gashige, the Dean, School of Education, Arts and Social Sciences, KCA University, and it gives me immense pressure to be the one to deliver a vote of thanks for this event to all the Department of Performing Arts and Media Studies. Congratulations, Dr. Zippy. Our heartfelt gratitude goes to our chief guest, Honorable Ababu Namwamba, for honoring our invitation and sharing with us such inspirational words. You will agree with me that we go home loaded with a lot of knowledge. We thank him so much for revealing and emphasizing on the repetitive nature of the creative sector. We have taken note of this, and we will pass this message to all our students so that as they make career choices, they will make wise decisions. We have, it's about for our country to unleash the hidden potential in so many of us, especially the young people, so that we can shine in the creative economy. We have taken home that creative economy is an economy. So now it is our responsibility to see into it what we can do so that we bring this into reality. We underline the fact that we have been promised a solid partnership by our Honorable Cabinet Secretary between the government and KCA University, and this will go a long way in establishing a creative center University. We cannot wait for this. It's indeed good news for all of us. To our Vice Chancellor and CEO, Professor, we thank you so much to host this important event that speaks to our young creators' aspirations. I am sure they are very happy. They now feel energized and they are ready to work. Indeed, and academic excellence, and then not forgetting that this avenue of exposing them to the industry. To all our other guests, starting with the Vice Chair of our Council, Madam Nancy Matimol, and then Eddie Butita, these are young artists, Wakiru Joguna and Timothy Owasi. We thank you so much for creating your time to come here and share with our young people. There's so much knowledge that you have shared today. Thank you so much, because we understand that you are very busy people, and we are very happy about the messages that you have put across. Indeed, it was an opportunity for our students to get to interact with you from the industry. They have listened from the horse's mouth, and now I know they are well encouraged, they are well empowered, and they know what to do in order for them to get to where you are, or if not where you are, at least near to where we are. We have picked quite a number of messages from each one of you. I will not have to repeat that, but I can mention just a few. From Nancy Matimo, we have learned that we've learned about the role of ICT in creative arts or in the creative economy. She has also enabled us to realize that there is a lot of demand for local content. So the young people have listened to this message. Do whatever you, be encouraged that whatever you do, the market out there is waiting for it, and there are so many people who want to know and to learn what is it that we are doing. We've also learned that to monetize creative economy is through IT. We cannot run away from IT. The role of IT in creatives is just but too much. From Eddie Butita, thank you so much for helping us to realize the difference between distribution of creatives and the creatives itself, to know what to do first and whether to sell both of them at the same time. We've also underlined the fact that you are ready to provide internship positions to our students, like it has been shared by Dr. Sipi. We will follow it up so that our students can get experience the best. From our Wakiro Jugona, we've learned that it is now time. We should no longer sit behind. It's time for the young to invest in creatives. And you have also emphasized on what is it that we need to focus on so that we can succeed in the creatives, or in the creative industry, the creative economy. Timothy Owasi, the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission, thank you for giving us the assurance that the government will not abandon us. The government will support us in the creatives, in film empowerment, and we also want to celebrate the fact that you have promised to have your hand in setting up a studio, a film lab in KCA University. I see as, I don't want to say, we've been talking about KCA for business, but in future, I see some very huge competition, so we hope we'll get there. Moving on to our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research, Innovation and Outreach. Thank you very much for your support in organizing this event. Your guidance, your constant calls, your input is what has contributed to its success. Thank you. We cannot also forget to appreciate the moderator of today's event, that is Dr. Zippy, and the MC of the day, Sarah Masese. Thank you for utilizing your talent excellently. Thank you very much. I cannot forget to appreciate the KCAU staff and students. We thank you very much for gracing our event. Thank you for your patience throughout the event. And I believe that We will continue to engage more as we build our nation through the creative economy. To our technicians, thank you so much because of the support that we have received from you. And we sincerely apologize to our guests because of the hitch that we experienced at the beginning. Thank you for your understanding. As you go back, thank you, and go back knowing that this is just but the beginning. I want to believe that we've not had enough. We would like more and more of these forums, so we will invite you again and again to KCA University. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gashigi, for remembering the MC and to believe that I was visible enough to carry the day in my role. Without further ado, I want to make a few house rules. Once we have the final prayer, I kindly request students and staff to kindly use this exit because we'll be having media interviews on this other side. And the Vice Chancellor and CEO KCA University, the DVC, and our distinguished panelists, we kindly request that you take interviews with the media. Thank you. Kindly request Hedwig to give us the final prayer.
Let us pray. Almighty Father, we come before you this morning to thank you for your unadulterated love. We thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for good health. We thank you for our CS who was here. We thank you for his entourage that stayed behind with us. We thank you that they have come up with good ideas like Talanta Hela, and we are praying to you that you make them a success. Father, we thank you for the KCAU community led by our VC and CEO, Professor Wakindiki, our DVCs, our School of Education, Arts and Social Sciences. We thank you for our learners, for our faculty. We thank you that we had this opportunity to host these panel discussions and that we had the patience, that we paid attention, and that we imbibed the knowledge that was shared. Father, we are very grateful for you giving us this creative community amongst us. The panelists, we thank you that you made them a success so that they can become our role models. We thank you that you made it possible for them to share with us this knowledge and the secrets to their success. We are also very thankful for the Creative Arts Center that is coming to KCAU. We will come back to you to thank you when it's actually actualized, but we know that it will be done. As we live here, Father, those of us who are traveling, we are thankful to you that you're going to grant us journey mercies. Thank you, God, for what I have not prayed. I pray that the Holy Spirit does that for me. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, I trust and believe. Amen.
Thank you very much. You can continue networking because information overload, but I kindly request that we kindly request that we move to get the interviews. Guys, close this door. Close this door. Close it. Guys, you end up go. Don't pass here. I kindly request that we exit using that other door. Here. Yes. For the sake of the interviews, I kindly request that we exit silently.